Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well out there. Hopefully, it feels nice in your neck of the woods out there in the country where this fall front has, this cold front, it is kind of like a fall front, has cleared most of the eastern and central U.S. So hopefully it feels nice and crisp out there this evening. And hopefully tomorrow morning we'll wake up to a nice fall-like air mass for most of the eastern U.S. at least. But we're going to give you an update on the tropics tonight. And as you can tell, there's not a lot of panels pulled up, so I'm not going to keep you guys long. Satellite is down, so I can't really actually even take a look at what is now Invest 96L. So it's been dubbed an Invest, not a named storm, just an Invest, and still that area of interest. So we're going to give you the latest and greatest information from model guidance today. And we're going to try to figure this out. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate the support over the last month. The growth has continued. It's been steady over the last week. Things have slowed back down, which is cool. But we're rolling on through. Best time of the year. Can't complain. I love when we get this first cold front of the year. It always feels awesome outside. But hit me up on Twitter, guys. If you can't find the link, it's under the video description. Facebook. It's a great way to follow along, especially when it gets active. It's a great way to interact with me. Also, if you don't want to interact with comments, I love interacting with you guys on social media. So definitely hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, even Instagram, even though I'm not very active on there. I'm not big on that app. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's go rocking. Latest 2 p.m. update. Another update will probably come out in 30 minutes or so. This might get upgraded to a 50% chance, but I can tell you the model guidance over the last 12 hours has not done much with this. You know, we woke up this morning and I was talking about it, and it looked like might be concerning. All models were firing on all cylinders with something developing with this. Now and this has been the trend, which is good because we don't want this mass consensus that we're going to have some kind of huge hurricane or anything like that. We don't want that. So models continue to struggle, and we're going to continue to figure this out. And this is going to be something that's going to take a while to figure out unless this tropical wave out here in the main development region completely fizzles out and gets dismantled maybe by landmass in the next 5 days. But anyways, 40% chance to develop in the next 5 days. So will this become Fiona? There is a chance. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at all the operational runs, European, GFS, Canadian, Icon, and take a look at some ensembles, and then take a look at the environmental factors aloft that could promote this maintaining some strength. And we got to watch to see if it gets in the Gulf of Mexico. We don't want it to get into the Gulf of Mexico with still a contact vortice, because if it does, there's definitely some rocket fuel in the Gulf of Mexico. Normally, not normally, you have sea surface temperatures probably pushing 90 degrees in certain buoys out there. I wouldn't be surprised, but certainly widespread 80s sea surface temperature wise. So you basically got the fuel for any kind of tropical system, but luckily that has not been the case this hurricane season. So let's take a look. We'll start off this evening, and what you'll see here on this part of the screen, you'll see a tropical wave come on the screen here, and here it comes. Just looks like a blob of moisture. We're getting into Friday morning. This blob of moisture starts to make it into the Leeward Islands, and you can already tell that this is moving a little bit more south. It's more east to west instead of moving west-northwest like it was in those runs I was showing you this morning. That symbolizes, and that's probably because, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, that convection did not sustain today. In fact, it kind of got dismantled, dry air got in, and models latched on to that. And man, it was looking like with the convection ongoing, a nice moist bubble, that this could quickly become something we need to really, really watch. And we still do. But there's nothing really to worry about right now. But as we're getting into Saturday morning, the latest Euro likes the idea of a tropical wave entering the Western Caribbean. This continues and interacts with land a whole lot. We're getting into Sunday morning. It's messing around in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. And then, whatever's left of this, somewhere up in here, it's starting to interact with Cuba, maybe Jamaica, bringing a lot of showery conditions. And then we get all the way out to 10 days out. You got an L popping off here. Is this where the vortice is? But in general, the European really doesn't develop this anymore. What if you back this up and you look at, the run from overnight, had a tropical storm getting into the areas of the Bahamas and the Southwest Atlantic. So much different run. And most model guidance went to that. In fact, the GFS held to its guns And here comes the GFS with this tropical wave, like I said, entering the Leeward Islands. By Saturday morning, brings a lot of moisture into the Greater Antilles. Puerto Rico throughout the weekend, Dominican Republic, and then it's like, where did it go? Where did it go? Well, the European and GFS likes this to get really scattered up into land masses in the Caribbean islands, Cuba, big islands, and you got some high mountain peaks in the Dominican Republic. So you continue this. Where does this emerge? Where you get some weird low pressure that pops up right here. But, I mean, the wave never makes it. 96L kind of dissipates on the latest GFS. But then you got things like the Canadian. And the Canadian is what I worry about, because I could see something like the Canadian happen. Here comes the wave. The wave is right here around Saturday morning, somewhere between Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Starts to interact with Cuba as we're getting into next Monday afternoon. And then it maintains, gets between the southern tip of Florida and the northern coastline of Cuba, sneaks into the Gulf of Mexico, and then all bets are off after that. Because, and granted, this is the Canadian, and it's 198 hours out. It's very hard to take serious, but it's model guidance. And I think the Canadian is a great example that if anything can get in the Gulf of Mexico, it could potentially be, just a threatening scenario. And, Canadian goes 10 days out, wants to just cruise more of an east to west path and head right towards Florida, maybe as a Texas, as maybe a Cat 2 hurricane, but one run, right? Icon and the Canadian and Icon models are definitely more unreliable models compared to the GFS and the European. But here comes the Icon, same kind of deal, same kind of time frame. Icon goes 120 hours out, but you can already notice the Icon is much further south than it was the last couple runs. It has a pretty strong tropical wave into the Western Caribbean. So that's that. We look at the new European ensembles. Makes up 50 runs, and this is 10 days out. Look how more scattered it is now. You got stronger runs that turn out to sea immediately, weaker runs that kind of sneak into the Bahamas, and even weaker runs that kind of try to get into the Caribbean. But if you look at that and you compare that to the OOZ run, it looks more consolidated and more threatening. So I would say confidence has even decreased even more about where this could potentially go for sure. Now, as far as the environmental, the wind energy aloft, the wind pattern aloft, what kind of favorable wind pattern do you have for this? Well, this is 200 millibar wind streams, about 40,000 feet up in the air. And when you got this wave, the wave's right in here. You got a nice anticyclonic flow. Basically, there's a nice outflow. The storm's ventilating. Tropical systems, if they do have some kind of broad circulation, they turn like this in the northern hemisphere. But then way above the storms, you got winds moving in the opposite direction. So what happens, and I've mentioned this many times before, this helps to ventilate storms. It basically pushes air away from the middle of the storm and allows us more air to rise, which should help substanding convection if you don't have any other factors like dry air messing with it. And in general, it looks like you have a pretty low shear environment into the Caribbean in this entire area. But between interacting with land and if this, wave survives until it gets to this point, it's a big question. So that's pretty much all I got. Made it under 10 minutes, but there's no point in talking too much about this until we kind of know what it's going to do in the short term. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for following, and love you guys. Have a blessed night, and I'll talk to you in the morning.